Alrighty, so today we have two topics on the agenda. One of them is a topic that Andrew's been helping us out with, and I think he's done a really nice job on adding some more to our use case. I'd asked him to look at the threat intelligence side and add some more content around our use case and what a threat intelligence product and also the user of the threat intelligence product would do in our use case scenario of the malware detection. Because we do want to get the three personas, the source, SIM, and threat protection, into the story so we have a full idea of the whole system and what's going on with the people and the tools they're using. So I think we'll start with that. And then the second one is our favorite topic, thanks to Forrest, of our ontology. And we'll level set those that weren't on our call Monday, what happened, and then talk a little bit more about the evolving spreadsheet we have and next steps with evolving that ontology. And I guess also we ought to talk first about cadence and stuff. I guess that probably makes sense. Okay, does that make sense, guys? And welcome. Mitch has brought in his out sitting outside again. I don't know how you get the power out there, Mitch, but congratulations.
Thanks. It takes a lot of solar panels.
Perfect. It seemed to work well. Fantastic. All right, so I'll turn it over to you. Andrew, you want to start us off with the work you did? I took a quick glance at it. It looked good, but you want to take people through what you did?
Sure. So I had started originally by creating a new use case that was kind of loosely based off of the story, in the other three use cases. And I dropped a link to GitHub into the a specific view of the pull request I made. Tends to make things line up a little better than the side-by-side view. We've got that document in GitHub. It's just a markdown document called usecases.md. I'm trying to remember who put the first one together, because I know it's in the document itself, and I'm totally blanking on how to view the original version. Let's see. Sorry, this is one of those times.
Doug Austin.
Doug Austin. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had originally come up with three, and I had come up with a fourth one, and Russell said that it'd be a good idea just to kind of merge those together. So the first use case where it talks about a user at standard enterprise company being kind of hit by a spear phishing campaign, gets an email, has some bad stuff in it, clicks on the link, and then all the things that happen from there. We've kind of added some more depth to that, what happens in the back end, particularly in relation to the SIM and the threat intelligence platform, the TIP, and how that reacts with analysts. So I kind of, this is very contrived, but the idea was, okay, guy downloads the file, endpoint doesn't know it's bad yet, but sees some behavioral stuff that marks it as bad. This is all part of the original use case. Then based on those, sets an alert to the SIM. From there, I kind of added some enrichment information where the analyst goes and flags it for a tier 2 analyst who looks at things using the SIM, which pulls in information from the tip, and then kind of decides that, yeah, we're gonna block that. By the way, if anybody hasn't seen it, that link is in the chat if you just want to kind of open that guy up on your own. Goes through, and then things get recorded, pulls additional context based off of information from an external party, says, yeah, this is a bad thing. I think I'm going to pay more attention to it, and do some more stuff, record that back into the tip. And I think it's a good back and forth that fits with the kind of bus architecture that we've been talking about. So I think this could also fit in pretty well if we wanted to expand this to include the SOAR use case. Because when I was writing this through, I was thinking, well, a lot of these actions we're talking about taking, this tier 1 user going through, confirming this, and then creating a ticket for the tier 2 user. In a perfect world, the SOAR would really be working through that flow where the SOAR would be creating the ticket. All that would be going on without anybody touching anything. So I know that's a case that we want to kind of expand on from there. I'm not sure if it makes sense to add it into this one because this one's getting a little long already, or want to start looking at some of the other 2 use cases in there because they might be a little bit better fit for it. But I think, if this looks good to people, that's probably where I'll start adding on stuff from there as we get to those use cases. Does that make sense? Any thoughts, comments, flames?
So I'll start. I like what you did of mingling it in with the actions. I think part of what the intention was here was to also describe, the 3 analysts, the SOAR, the SIM, and threat intelligence, and how they orchestrate the use of data that's available to them from all the tooling that we have, because I think it's important to understand. And I also think it'll help us define even more ontology of things that we have to do to, support these flows so that the user does get the information they're looking for from wherever it is they're trying to seek it. So I think you did a really nice job kind of laying out, hey, I'm trying to, as a vantage point of a threat intelligence person, I need this. This is the kind of data I'm looking for, and here's why, and here's what a threat intelligence, like your little threat strike, right? What your threat intelligence or tip can do for you to answer some of what you're asking for. So I like that. I like it bringing together like that, and I do agree that it is getting a bit busy. But I was thinking of doing though is yeah, I agree with you to add the SOAR, and then we would kind of flag it a little different. Maybe even make it a little script with which actor we're talking about, whether it's the end user or the SIM or SOAR. But I'd like to have it all in one flow like this because it just it's thorough. And at least that's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? I mean, it does look complex as well, so I get what he's talking about.
Well, one thing we could do is even have the same flow, but break some of the use cases up where, have use case 1 be the user and the tier 1 analyst view, and then have use case 2 be the tier 2 analyst view, because he's going to come back and look to this later. They're going to interact, but they're kind of different, especially when you talk about things from the SOAR perspective, because the SOAR is really going to be the thing that creates the ticket that bridges those 2 use cases. But their starting points are going to be very, very different. So we could still kind of do it as a script, but it's going to be like different chapters in a book, right? From slightly different people's perspective.
I like that thought. Yeah.
So that'd be, I can work in clean.
So I think it's great. My only thought is that, back on the event-driven kind of topic, that if we could cut out the SOAR completely and define, given when then flows, keeping the user as a first-class citizen in the overall distributed system design, but stating things as a view. So given the state of the system, when this thing happens, then maybe a query should take place, or maybe a view should be presented to the user, which could include them making a decision on something, which is then an event that triggers other things that might happen, other views, other actions, queries, things like that. But I think instead of like the Nirvana being a choreographed set of solutions that are going to present their data at the right time, in the right context, versus something having to orchestrate all of those things. Obviously, orchestration's always going to be there. There's a continuum of things that will need to be, manual, then orchestrated, then choreographed, then automated. But that's my only thought is, in how we define or write user stories.
Sure. I mean, I think it makes sense. And, you know, honestly, I can write it up either way. The only reason I kind of like it from the SOAR perspective is that it makes it very easy to present in terms of the workflow, whereas the choreographed method is, you know, more complex in terms of there are individual actors and having to describe how they all kind of have the ball at different points in times. I would probably, regardless, write up the SOAR version first,
Yeah.
and then we
That's
could kind of
current
break
state.
that into individual.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reality today. And we've talked about this on a previous call. Like, are we just going to, you know, define what's happening out there today and things that are possible today and the way that we stitch all this stuff together? Or do we want to define the future that we're pushing towards?
I mean, I don't think there's any reason we can't do both.
Totally agree.
I mean, I think defining a future where we want it to be without supporting what we currently have is just kind of waiting for a bunch of people to develop products that, you know, hopefully meet what we think should happen. But, you know, honestly, unless you have a whole lot of pictures of various product managers with goats or something that you can use to prod them along, I don't think that's probably going to happen overnight.
No, I totally agree. No, it's great stuff, Andrew.
I've got a request here, or maybe I should just add to the PR, but at the top of the use case, we've got 3 humans involved in this.
Should have at least 4.
Oh, see, I missed one. So we've got Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Where's the 4th
And Dave.
one? And Dave. Right.
Yes.
So,
Alphabetical.
okay, good. My suggestion is, and again, I probably should just do this myself, but have them, you know, maybe this is like a script, right? It's a little bit like a script, a use case script. It has a particular flow, a timeline. But up front, I'd like to be able to see, you know, Alice, Bob, Charlie, and Dave. Is that right? Who we think they are, right? I mean, it starts off with just kind of one sentence about their role or where they are in this supposed organization or maybe organizations at the very, very top. And so when someone's looking at this use case, they can get a sense of, okay, I kind of know who the actors are. And then as they read through the sequence that you've laid out here, which I have no problem with, they can get a sense of what's going on there. I suppose I could gold plate even further, which would be these other things that are involved, which is a threat intelligence platform or a SIM, you know, other non-human actors that are involved as well, because it's not clearly in a SOC. Well, it's right, the SOC, yeah, and a SOC, I suppose. That's not really a thing. But anyhow, do you get the sense of what I'm asking for?
Yeah, basically like a kind of almost like a glossary up front, just detailing the different components and stuff. Absolutely can do that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that what will end up happening probably is a conversation of like, well, who we think these 4 people are and what they actually do. We could talk about, you know, their roles and how they interact with the OCA system.
Sure, and I think we've tried to do that kind of in line in a couple of places, but just having them up front, yeah, absolutely, that makes sense.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I agree. That makes. I mean, it's just clear that before you dive into the detail, you have a level set. So that makes sense.
I mean, the fact that I missed one and I'm on this team. Of course, I'm reading it as we're in the meeting, so apologies for not being prepped up front.
No worries. I just finished it up this morning, so there wasn't a lot of thought. Just in time development.
That's how we work nowadays, right? It's called agile, isn't it, or something? Yeah. Thanks for that comments, Mitch. Anybody else have any other comments?
I don't have anything quite yet. I think I need to read through it before I can make any intelligent commentary. I'll put it that way, I guess. Today's my Friday, so like I'm ready to get out of here. But,
Good for you. Good. Well, now we're jealous of you, Adam.
yeah, that's all right.
Okay. Well, any comments? Just put, I guess, a PR against it, or just edit the before I won't.
Oh
go
yeah,
on.
I mean, sorry. I mean, I think it's great. Like, I love expanding it, making it more detailed. I like Mitch's comments about what you call it, gold plating it. I don't know if I call it gold plating, but I mean, I like the idea of having more of a story behind it, right? And yeah, so this is good work. I'm sure of it. I just want to read through it and see that it makes sense, that I understand it, the flow, and all that kind of stuff. That's it.
Well, the vast majority of this is Thug's work. I don't want to take credit for all of it. I just kind of updated some other stuff, but I can definitely update it from here. So I'm adding a note to myself to add the actors and the system section. I'm probably just going to update the PR. By the way, if anyone does have a GitHub account, which I guess if that's where the repository is, we probably all should, you can just add comments in that link there directly, and that'll send a notification as well. So if there's, comments, you can do them inline. You can go through, but if you go to the review changes there, you can leave comments, individual things, and we'll get notifications on that. Along with, I'm not sure who the approver is for this repository right now, but they should see those as well.
I think I'm one of them. I know that. I'm probably not the only one, but I'm one of them.
Well, that if you go back over to that conversation tab, there's a general comment section as well. So
I'll add the my recommendation on the comments. I realize that what I'm asking for is not really part of the change set that you put together, so it's kind of an additional piece. But if you're willing to,
it's totally cool though. I mean, I'm basically making changes to it as we go. So whatever needs to happen, let's get it done.
yeah,
But
if you're willing to lump it in with this PR, I'll put the comment in right now. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Excellent. And again, Andrew, thank you so much for doing this. I do appreciate it. I do think it's doing the right thing of embellishing the use case to be a little more complete with what I think the full story of what we're trying to do here.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that. Okay, then if you guys are ready to switch over to topic number 2, the ontology. Forrest, you want to kind of do a level set? We had a small working group, subset of us were there on Monday, but we did a kickoff. I think it was Mark and Adam, I think you were there, and I was there, and a couple of others. Dave may have been there. Do you want to kind of give them a level set, Forrest, and then take them through what we're doing?
Sure. Screen 1 or 2? Am I in screen 1? Nope. Hold on. Oh, this is probably going to make me do a login and back out thing to do this. Hold on, see what happens. Did that allow? Do you see my screen? Make sure your permission.
Not so much.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
so much.
I need to, let me see. Still nothing?
Nothing yet.
Okay, let's see. I need to do allowing here somewhere.
Or is it one of your settings for the operating system?
Yeah, since I've the first time.
Yeah, allow use of the video.
First time you've done WebEx on Mac OS, probably.
On this particular computer, yeah.
Yeah.
So which one am I allowing here? Camera, right? Camera? No.
No, screen.
Screen, yeah. Screen share.
Screen share, right?
We can see your camera already.
Yeah, we
Screen.
thank you.
It'll probably tell you that you have to restart the app, but I don't think you actually have to.
Full disk access screen recording? It's not
No.
screen sharing.
Sharing, that's it. That one.
No, I'm not seeing.
Screen recording, actually. Sorry, that's right. If you want
Okay.
Is
to
it under recording? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's silly.
Oh, probably just like what Firefox need to do. Okay, let me see if I can that work. Firefox will not be able to until the sessions quits. Okay, I'll be right back.
This is the Google Docs spreadsheet.
Yeah, I think that's where he's going. I'm guessing. I think you're right.
Yeah, I imagine anybody could share that. But
Yes, we could.
That's true. That's true.
Also correct. We'll be back in a second. We hope. Although I don't know how many times I've shared with one tool and then the other tool doesn't work. It's like a whack-a-mole. I don't know why. Something I'm doing wrong. Well, who's there? Let me see if I can find that spreadsheet. There it is. That must
All
be.
right. Try again.
Here you are.
Select window or screen.
To share. Yeah, you're in the right place. Find your. I assume you're putting up your spreadsheet.
Yeah, I was gonna put that up and some other stuff.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay. Yep. Ah, that's better. Much better.
Okay. So in so we as Russ mentioned, we got together starting on Monday, and we're using some of the use case work that you guys are working on. So all that stuff is going to be we're gonna deconstruct all of that. And we got together. Let's see here. I'm going to a different.
Yeah.
And so we got together and we started just working on a lexicon. So the way we start this, and I don't think I have a copy of, shoot, I didn't bring that slide as a level set. Let's see if it's in here. It is not. Okay. So the first step that we did was we kind of bound our work. What do we want to make our ontology? What's it going to be used for? Where's the left-right boundaries of it? What's all going to go in? What do we want to accomplish? What type of questions do we want to answer? What type of analysis do we want to use it for? What type of data needs to be integrated? That type of thing. And so we basically started. Let's just get started by looking at the use cases. And so we started with looking at. Let me see. Go back to our screen. Just a second. Give me just a minute. I had to come back in. Can somebody? It erased my chat. Can someone go back? Put the link back into the GitHub thing. Since I haven't accessed it from outside here. Anyway, within there, we started out with the basic use case of Bob getting the malware. And so that just gives us a starting point to start creating our terms and definitions. Thanks. And so we use that specific use case, and also what's the higher level here? Let's go. The graphic is helpful. These graphics are helpful. The graphics of this is helpful. It helps us understand processes and such. And so we talked a little bit about, as a reminder of how we're going to use basic formal ontology. And basic formal ontology is, if you imagine you're making like a Christmas tree, but you're making the Christmas tree from the top down. And so basic formal ontology is that first couple of branches, and then we extend out from there. And we're also going to be using Common Core ontologies. And so I got to go back there again. Sorry. I had to get out of Firefox, so I lost that. I had all this set up for everyone to see. And I had to lost it all again. Hold on. And so we have two different ways that we can get to Protege. Just a second. Protege is a modeling tool that we have. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. That's not working very well. Give me just a second. Okay. The easiest way to see this is, okay, so what I'm going to try to demonstrate is we're not, the plan is we're not starting from scratch. You guys still see my screen?
Yep. Yeah, we see it. It's bouncing around a bit, but we see it.
Yeah. So basic formal ontology is kind of a standard, and it's also the top level. So it serves as a standard But in ontology parlance, the standard is really just your top level ontology that you extend from. So as opposed to recording your, well, as opposed to like, deciding you're going to use a metric system, so you're going to record your measurements in 3 millimeters as opposed to 3 inches, you're going to structure your ontology according to the top level classes and such in the basic formal ontology structure. And so here, oh boy, interesting. Hold on. Oh, let me import one more. Hold on, I gotta import a file so it's what you see on the screen makes a lot more sense. Give me just a second. Okay, so I showed everybody some existing work that's being done in this area. And so, for example, basic formal ontology, if my tabs start working, come on, is a top level. And then in addition to that, we have these mid levels. There we go. And components that are already out there available for us to use. So what this is called the cyber ontology. And I apologize, you're going to have to expand your screens because I can't make this these fonts any larger. But the point here is Kubrick has already done a lot of work in this space, and so there's lots of we can use this to help us guide where our the path that we take, or the binning, if you will, with our terms and definitions. And also we might find that some definitions and some terms that we already want are already here in the Common Core cyber ontology, and we just do a sanity check to make sure it makes sense the way that they have, like the term internet protocol. We'll just go internet protocol. So sure enough, internet protocol address is a concept that's already in Common Core, and so we can use this as a good reference. If we look at this, the way they've placed this, and I can help people interpret that, and then what their definition is, if all that makes sense to us, we say, okay, yeah, then we can just rely on the Common Core ontologies, and we'll kind of integrate with that, and then we extend from there. And so what we started doing then is we started looking at these references, and we started kind of just brainstorming the different terms of use based of interest to us based on what was in those use cases. So that is what you see over here. So we just get started on this. And so we would put down the current term that's of interest to us, like the idea of block and query. And we might figure out that actually, as we talk through it, we might say a better term than block would actually be disallow, is what we're really trying to say. And when you put it in those terms, you can say, it can disambiguate with other terms and say, oh, disallow is an act, so it would be an intentional act. And we would be able to bid it accordingly based on parent class. And this comes to us from the Common Core ontology. So we can it helps us connect the dots and helps us not have to start from square one and get a running start with our work. So we started to curate this Excel spreadsheet is now in the that shared directory we have on Google Drive. So we have the OCA marketing directory, and I created a directory called OCA ontology. And in there is the spreadsheet we started to work on. This is what's called the turtle file. So if you have an ontology editor, you can ingest it and look at it. This is the Kubrick's ontology editor. I'm sorry, ontology file for cyber ontology. And then this is also that briefing that I shared about for process templating that we can use. And so you can see some examples of different ways of how you can actually use the ontology are in that briefing if you want to take a look at it. So that's about as far as we got. We just got a head start on this terms sheet, and so our plan going forward is, oops, I had it open already. Our plan going forward is to work on this some more. When did we say we're going to get together? Sometime soon. Next week, is it?
Other than today.
Oh yeah, we scheduled for next week.
Next week, right?
Yeah, next week we're going to have the next working group session where we're going to drill down and. What was I going to say? Oh, and then, so once we get the idea, the way ahead is to kind of flesh this out and try to get to the point of the general model for the general integration that we were looking at with with these graphics on this page. Do I have two? I think I have two Firefoxes open. Yeah, here it is. We want to try and basically get all this modeled in our ontology. And then maybe some of the OpenDXL language, which really talks to some of these arrows. We want to get that in there and get a couple other cats and dogs. And then once we get the general structure put together, then as Mark was mentioning, we would probably kind of farm out to people to get some more detailed pieces to talk about, what's going on in the SOAR, what's going on in the endpoints, the seams, things like threat intelligence platform, the threat hunting process. We would get detailed level on threat hunting, perhaps, on those processes and those acts. And then based on our general model for this overall picture here, you'd know how to piece those together in a logical format that humans can understand and machines can understand as well. So did I miss anything, guys?
Since you shared that with edit permissions, I decided to put some graffiti on it. So there's another tab in there for OpenC2 now with just the terms that come from there, and they can be curated
Great.
just as input for the curation process.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly why I gave edit permission here. Feel free to go in and start putting stuff in here. What are all these icons? Is this you guys? Anonymous sheep?
Yeah. We're hiding.
An anonymous jackal? An anonymous, okay, anyway. Okay, interesting. And so what we'll do is we're gonna dissect these. In some cases it's an act. And so what does an event become then? Let me go ahead and do a little scribbling. Oh crap, I can't. Can I? Is there a whiteboard function on here?
Don't think so.
Oh, yeah, in here, yeah, in web, yeah. You should see a whiteboard function in WebEx.
Yeah, not in Google. Yeah, all of those anonymous blanks are the various people who also have the document open, and they're just not known in whatever domain that document's hosted.
That's what that means. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It like randomly assigns an identifier if you're not logged into an existing Google account.
Yeah, if you click on any one of them, it will take you to where the cursor is for that particular user.
Wow. How cool.
If you want a whiteboard, you can go under share.
Yeah,
There's a
I'm gonna
whiteboard
show
option
you.
there.
Yep.
So it's not showing me a whiteboard option under share, but I can
It's on the top. It's on the. It should say window file whiteboard. You see it up there? Share content. Way at the top.
share content. Now let me stop this.
Yeah. Push the share button and then look at the top of that panel.
Okay, let me try it again.
Yeah.
If I click on share, I get connecting. Maybe because I'm in the browser. I'm doing it in the browser. I haven't downloaded WebEx on this one yet. Hold on, I got it on my.
That's probably the problem.
Give me just a second.
Okay.
This will be kind of a useful to help understand how we model an event. I think I can pull this up on. I think I have WebEx on my iPad. Russell one.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't put your. By the way, you don't put your links to this in easily clickable spot. On location, you can't.
How's that? It's in the chat.
It's good.
Okay.
How do I have to update? Great. I'm updating my app now.
You probably ignored that.
But anyway, so what happens will be these acts. The way, so if you look, for example, on, and I can pull this up. Okay, if you look at these arrows, okay, there's nothing inherent that you can. There's no way to like link data to that arrow. So you can't. So what means is you can't figure out. You can't do a specific instance of when that's going to happen. So when this performs collection on that service and it queries this endpoint, you don't know exactly which endpoint, you don't know when, and things like that. So here we go. Whiteboard, yay.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Now you're starting to. The thing you were talking about before, I couldn't see. So
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, now you can see my
Whiteboard.
I can see my whiteboard.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we do. We do it this way. So you're going to have, let me look over here at the screen here. You're going to have, we're going to say seam. No, we're going to say, that's not where we use endpoint security. No, we're going to do it this way. Endpoint security. So I'm going to have some endpoint security, and I'm going to have a computer. And it resides on it, but there's a relationship between them. And then I'm going to have an event called, so what type of, what type of collection? It says perform collection, query. Okay, we're going to call it query event number 1. Okay, and so as opposed to making that query a link, I'm going to make it its own object, so to speak. And so I'm going to say this participates in it, and this participates in it. Okay. Now that I said they both can participate in that query event, I can also say occurs at, how do I spell occurs?
Good enough for us. Yeah.
Occurs at, and I can give it a timestamp, say 10 a.m. Oh, why is it doing that? All right, I can say performed in, oh, come on. I can say the event is, query event is performed in, some language. I don't know, whatever language we do this query in, OpenC2, I don't know, OpenC2. I can add all sorts of attributes to this event, so now I can keep track of it in space and time. It becomes the query, it's not just an act. I just don't say endpoint security. I don't, instead of saying endpoint security queries the computer, I make this right here its own event that I can actually connect other information to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
So you can do, if you use Neo4j, you have linked property graphs, and the linked property graphs, you can actually do attributes on the link itself too in Neo4j, but not everybody uses Neo4j. It's a proprietary system. So a more general system is for open standards, which we always try to adhere to. This top level representation can use open standards, W3C standards like RDF triple stores and stuff like that. So that's what we'll end up trying to do. And so in future workshops, it's great to have the whiteboard like this so we can all scribble on it. And I can articulate things like I just did. So this computer number 1, so this is an ontology speak here. I don't know how much longer you want me to go for. So I represent these as diamonds, and that means it's a specific computer. So the idea of a computing device is represented by, can I change colors of this? No, I can't change color. Why do I have green? Why is it, how did it get green? Interesting. If it's just the idea of a computing device, that's going to be yellow circles, and this relationship is type. So now the computer, and this is the part that we put, we build these ideas out in our ontology. So when we make an instance somewhere, so when they say, they implement it, they're going to say computer number 1 and endpoint, whatever, endpoint security program, instance 1, which is an instance of, let's say McAfee. Which is an instance of McAfee antivirus program or whatever. Now this is where the standardization occurs. So when I create one in my environment and in my database, I have a computer and I have an endpoint security program. I create them as type computing device and McAfee, whatever. So now your data elements in your database and my data elements in my database, they have the same semantic meaning. So I can do cross-platform integration of data. I can do all sorts of stuff. So that's our goal, is to kind of standardize these pieces here, so that when we actually make them happen someplace, the computers can understand each other more effectively, and we can understand each other. So that's what we're working on. Any questions then?
No questions, but a comment. This is cool. Very cool.
One vote for Mitch.
I love the fact that you're using OWL and RDF and so on.
Yeah, I'm glad you think that. Not everybody believes it's cool. A lot of people think it's overly ambitious. I think Mark has a good idea. Is that we start with a very simple. We're not trying to boil. We're not going to try to boil. We're not going to try to boil the ocean with this. We really want to just kind of focus on the fundamental relationships right here.
Mhm.
Okay, and we want to rely on work people have already done. And we want to rely on basic formal ontology to increase the potential for adoption across the globe, because BFO is an ISO standard for ontologies. So it would behoove us to use that. Yeah, that's what we're looking at trying to do.
I think so cool is just, like a pat on the back and sounds like me being, enamored with technology, which is true. Those are both true. But I think the cooler aspect of it is that this is glue, in a sense, a way to connect things together, disparate systems, independent systems, and so forth, using ideally some kind of standard.
Yeah,
Exactly. This is how a bunch of different organizations building products in silos can build towards a distributed system, not being on the wrong side of Conway's law. Like, we need upfront design rules, that organizations can build to, so it can all come together.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get there. So we'll start out. We'll just keep iterating. I don't know. So I guess I can show this. This is our general process that we're going to follow. This is the SAIC kind of way we do these things.
So one question I had for us is relating to like OpenC2 and even SCAP, where they're continuing to lay out the stuff that's on the wire, right? Like you had a box of, I forget what the action was, but some kind of action, right? But there's those efforts that are going ahead in the detail saying, when you mean, query, then we're going to break that down to this is the data stream that query is going to have, right? OpenC2 doing that, SCAP does it. So I imagine we kind of align those to do with this model, so we kind of fit the blocks together of the relationships between things that you're talking about and the specific data that's exchanged between. Does that make sense? Is that how it's supposed to go?
That is one utilization, certainly.
Okay.
One of many. Oh, it doesn't have the slide. Darn it! You guys still seeing my screen?
No, we're seeing the. What do you want to say? What's the picture of the people here?
Okay. So two things. One is to, for love of Pete. Here we go. Okay, perfect.
Got it.
Okay, so you said you were not seeing my screen. Let me go.
Yeah, all we're seeing is the WebEx attendees. So just do another share.
Okay, let me try and get back out of this.
And point to whatever it is you want to show us.
Okay, yep, I can see now. I can see in my laptop what I'm seeing. Okay, let me get back over here.
Okay.
Select screen to allow.
There we go. It's refreshing.
Okay.
Yep. So now we're seeing your desktop with the attendance of the.
Now I'm going to hop back into. Okay.
There we go.
My virtual desktop. So this is the process that we're going to follow generally, like I was alluding to at the beginning. We're now really just at the stage 1 and 2. And we're going to be here for a while, coming up with these keywords, terms. We've done some scoping already. I think we've sufficiently scoped enough in order for us to start going on number 2. Now getting to this taxonomical hierarchy, where we go into there is we'll put it into a program. Looks like this, and this is where it starts getting machine readable. Now, what we will actually use, so that I can facilitate distributed partnering and working, was we're going to use Web Protege, and I had it open here a second ago. And you guys, and for those who want to join in, you can get an account on our free developmental server, which has 0 system administration support. So you cannot forget your password because we cannot recover it for you.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
That's what you get for free. And then, and so I haven't structured this as pretty as the one you were looking at. I need to get these numbers and put names in there and have it linked better, but it'll be in this platform so you can actually start playing around with it. So we will eventually get to that point. So we start an Excel spreadsheet and then we go to here. Now in here, we start getting things called properties, and under properties, we get data properties. And these are the data properties so Common Core is very, very pedantic, is a good word. So they try to avoid proliferations of data properties. And data property is the link between an entity and the data about it. So they're trying to make it really just the basic types of data you can put into Scream: a date value, an integer value, a text value, a string. We will have more than that. And what we will have is those things that are of relations to us of the type of data we want to transmit back and forth from point A to point B. So you have, I'll go back over here to share again. And so and I'm trying to get to the last question that you asked, Russ. So let me go back over to my desktop to see if I can help explain that better. Whiteboard. Create new one. Here. Okay. So you have an instance of something, which would be let's say it's computing device number 1. Okay, and I'm going to simplify things. And now you have data property about it. And the data property would be, let's say, for example, and this is I wouldn't do it quite like this, but just so people can understand it. So IP address. Okay. And then whatever format that IP address is in, 128.xx, whatever. The format, so I would dictate the format. It has some data standard of what format that takes. And so in this case, it's just a string, even though it's a string of numbers. So this is the type of stuff where most people focus. Okay, so our standards we have for the way that we want to represent an IP address, the way we want to represent this, the way we want to do whatever, that's what's usually most of our focus is at. That's where we're going to glue together all that stuff we've already done at this level through the idea of data properties and the entities that they're connected to. Does that help, Russ?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
But the first drawing you had the attributes of the computer, and on the left side you had the orchestrator or the SEAM or whatever it was, and in the middle you had the instruction, the event that had a date and time on it.
Yeah.
So when you have an event, when you have a message going from one device to another device, then that will have data in it that is serialized in a particular format.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So you can say, we can also say participates in a communication event, and you can say transmits message. And then you can have in this event, we're also using to transmit the message, and then you can say what's in the message.
Right.
So it can get really complex really fast. I'm warning you. But ultimately, that's what's necessary in order for the computer to understand what the heck it is we're talking about.
So this is of personal interest. It's OpenC2 has another thing going on comparing RDF. And so RDF is not getting down into defining that message content, is it?
No.
Okay. You've got a whole collection of facts about events and about devices and all of those together. And one of the things that you can talk about is an event has some message content. But below that level, the message content is defined somewhere else, like with XSD or whatever.
But I mean, but you could just basically take this and if we do it right, eventually the requirement for this will go away in the future. Because we'll all be talking each other in the same language, and then it's just one big happy graph. But that's a long way off. So for example, we're trying to do that. So for example, in the intelligence community where I worked most of my time is we're trying to create intelligence observations, like an image analyst observes a tank at some location. And we're trying to get them to create that observation in the same RDF OWL format as my single source of closest to truth, where my object management service, where I keep track of all my intelligence on those tanks. So if we create that message in the exact same format, and then that you can imagine where we can start using AI to show correlations between the observation report, potentially observed facts, and our collection of the facts, and then we can just link them together directly. There's no need for any other in-between message format between the two, between the observation report and the central database. That's my point.
Well, when you've got an observation of the tank, there's going to be a JPEG or something coming from your sensor.
Yeah.
And you're not going to represent all the pixels of that JPEG as RDF facts. You're going to call it a JPEG piece of data, and you've got all this metadata that goes around it that RDF attaches to.
Yeah, but what we're using now is with computer vision, as you're probably familiar with, AI will determine that there's a tank in that JPEG. And so it will say there is a tank. It'll make the statement, there is a tank at this location at this time. It'll write that in graph format. And so
Yes.
it basically transmits the JPEG automatically into a graph. And
Right.
I can, and if I want to refer to the graph, to the JPEG later and attach that as another node on my graph, I can always do that. So I can have that picture to refer to in the future if I want to.
You want to attach attributes to the JPEG so you can enrich it and say something categorical about it.
Well, you attach kind of. The JPEG would be one additional attribute that I would attach to my graph. So yeah, basically. Okay. I think that's all I got. In case anyone, hopefully no one's brains exploded at this point. But so the bottom line is the two things to be working on are the, this spreadsheet here. And so I guess the one of the things we'll do in the next working group is kind of look at this input here. We've also got the OpenDXL pieces. We've got the use case to work through. We got a lot of stuff to work on. So we have no dearth of information to start with. So we'll keep working on this spreadsheet. And then eventually we'll get it into something like this in the Ontology editor once we get to a good enough point that we feel comfortable doing that. And then we can, cool things about these is I can move them around and I can do stuff in here too and create object properties and then create graphs, which I can't show here, but I'll show you eventually. You can do a graph like this one.
I'm very interested in trying out the tooling that you're using for this and with the model that you have.
Okay.
How do I get started with that?
I will send you the link to the Cosine server here, and you can set up your own account. I think Adam has already done so, or Mark, or somebody has. Okay, I lied. I had to, because our sysadmin on this sucks. This module crashed. I have to redo it. Looks like. Really? That's unfortunate. Hold on.
Mr. Montville, you've done this, is that right?
That is correct. Well, I haven't gotten into the version of Web Protege that they have running over at CS.
I haven't given access to this yet because I just put it out there anyway. And then this SAM example is not working. Crap. I had one where a cool graph. I was just going to show you a nifty graph, but anyway. Sorry.
I should put a link in the chat to Protege, which is the tool that you were looking at, and they have a downloadable version. If
Yeah.
you want to try that.
If you go to Stanford, yeah, if you want to get this version, you can go to Stanford and load it on your computer. Hold on. Yeah, this one right here. So this is Desktop Protege. It's a very powerful modeling tool.
You're not sharing your desktop, so
No.
you're speaking to something we can't see. But I think it's this website that I just visited.
It
Yeah,
probably-
it's the link that Adam sent. Yeah,
Yep.
That's
Okay.
Yes, I forgot that I was still had my
that's right. You're in the right
It's all
spot.
right.
I had
Keep
my
going.
screen share thing or my whiteboard was going. Sorry about that.
Keep going. Good. All good.
Anyway, so you have two versions. You have the desktop version, which you can get right there from that Web Protege from crap, not that one. You can get right there from Stanford, or you can do the Web Protege. You can also get access to Web Protege at Stanford, but we at SAIC, we have set up just a developmental on our developmental platform. So, it means it's got limited cybersecurity. It has no sysadmin support, all of those things. Okay, you can see my screen again now, right?
Yes.
We set up this one. So here's what Desktop Protege will look like once you get that up and running. It's a Java-based program. And then the Web Protege, I had it outside. Hold on. Will look like this. And I will send you the link. I'll send you this link in the chat channel right now. Yeah, we had a server crash, and when they mirrored the servers last 2 weeks ago, we somehow lost the files that are there, but they couldn't get them linked to this directory. So anyway, if you do anything on your own in that Web Protege server I'm sending you the link to, you have to make sure you download and save it to your computer once in a while, and don't lose your password.
Right.
Other than that, you're good to go. So that's the link, and just go in there and create an account. You'll go to the first opening page, which I think if I log out, it'll take me there, and you'll see create an account right there on the home page. Sign out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
I've seen-
Sign up
yeah.
for account on the top right.
Perfect. And eventually we'll want to use this one so we can collaborate on the model, right?
Exactly. And so hopefully in the near future, we're going to figure out a way to make this a bit more sustainable. We could actually, we could actually go to the I can load it up on the Stanford version, because the Stanford version has system administration support, and if it crashes, you don't lose the files. And frankly, it's not,
Okay.
not an SAIC product that we're working on. So, and we're not doing anything that we're really concerned about
Right.
access to from malicious actors or anything. So I don't think there's any problem with putting out the Stanford version. So we'll make that executive decision right now. I'll go up and I'll load something that looks like this onto the server at Stanford, and I'll hopefully do that sometime in the near future.
And then we would use the Stanford web client, not the downloaded.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay.
And
That
it's
works.
going to be fine for our purposes. What the benefit of the desktop is it has a lot more powerful modeling tools and these Axiom developments and stuff. We're not going to get that high speed, at least for a long time. So
I agree.
using that web-based one should be
Sounds great. So I like the plan. Love it.
all right. All right, I think I just had my tasker. I got a lot of taskers from OCA today. That's
good.
yeah, good.
We're alive and well. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Forrest, for leading this. We do appreciate it. Make a lot of progress, and I think this is starting to gel so we can bring things together, which we're all excited about. So
A little bit. All right, sounds good.
thank you. Thanks everybody for
Awesome.
attending.
Thank you. Have
All
a
right,
good
guys.
holiday
Really-
weekend.
Here.
A quick
Thanks.
question. We got
Yes.
one real quick.
Yes.
Tui, I started updating the use case stuff with the actors. Do we have anywhere where we actually have a definition of a sim and a tip? Like, I was hoping it would be part of the ontology or something, but I'm just wondering, like, do we have anywhere where we have like a blessed, description of that?
And you don't like Wikipedia?
I'm fine with Wikipedia. I feel like whenever I do that, I need to cite it, down at the bottom, which is fine. But I'm just like, as an organization, I was like, we're doing all this ontology work. We probably should have a definition of what the thing is.
We discussed that a little bit last time. I mean, if we can either pull from somebody else's definition or we can make up one for ourselves. We haven't. I just put in a very expedient short definition and a couple of those things there in the spreadsheet. If you want to use that, you're welcome to use that.
I will take a look. That would be good. I just want to be consistent for the most part, but I can make something up if need be.
But we just
Sorry,
put
that was all I got. Sorry.
Here, we got one there. You see the Sims in there. There's one. You see that one, Andrew?
Awesome. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, that's a bare start, but back in the systems engineering days, you have systems and then you have activities, and so you're going to want to define a bunch of things that can be done, and so you're going to have one of these graphs that says send this command or do this action or list all the things that a sim does and list all the other things that a SOAR does. So
Sure.
flush that
Not
out.
at that point yet, though. Just looking for a blurb at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
He's at the root.
Good.
Excellent.
Okay. Sorry. Didn't need to hold things up. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Good question. Good question. Okay, guys. Thanks again for participating.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good
Good
night.
day.
Just